now to Yakov Katz, Senior Fellow at the Jewish People Policy Institute, an independent Israel-based think tank that focuses on promoting the Israeli state, also author of Israel versus Iran and Shadow Strike, which looked at Israel's bombing of Syria's nuclear reactor in 2007. Thank you for coming on the programme.
Thank you.
What's your reaction to the overnight strikes?
This is something that Israel has been preparing and warning of for a long time. I think we have to remember, Lewis, that Iran has been building illicitly a nuclear weapon for about at least 20 years and has also at the same time, what made this into such a potential existential threat to Israel was that not only was it creating the bomb, but it was also at the same time calling for the annihilation and the destruction of Israel, openly declaring we want to wipe Israel off the map. This was something that Israel had prepared for, had warned the world against, that Iran needed to stop. And we heard just a couple days ago from the UN's nuclear watchdog, the IAEA, that Iran is violating the NPT, the Non-Proliferation Treaty. It is accumulating stockpiles of highly enriched uranium just to jump away from the military-grade uranium it would need for multiple nuclear devices. This is something that needed to be dealt with, and I would say that hopefully, if Israel succeeded, the world is a safer place today.
But that same organisation that you quoted there are also saying today that nuclear facilities must never be attacked, regardless of the context or circumstances. It could harm both people and the environment. Such attacks have serious implications for nuclear safety.
This is no doubt, and that's something that's always going to be taken into consideration. But we also have to remember is that this is a country that was calling to destroy the place where I live, the place where my children live, where my family has been raised, and 10 million Israelis live. And they were calling to destroy them and building that capability. So while there could be problems now with potential fallout, I don't know exactly, of radioactive material from destroying Natanz, the main enrichment facility, this is a matter of survival for Israel. And Iran getting a nuclear weapon was going to be an existential threat.
Well, those existential threats the threats being made have been around for a long time, as you said. Why specifically right now?
Well, there's a window of opportunity, Lewis, that I think was created for a number of reasons. The first is that in the aftermath of Hamas's attack in October 7th, 2023, the Middle East has dramatically changed. All of the proxies that Iran has built up over the years, from Hamas in Gaza, Hezbollah in Lebanon, the Assad regime in Syria, have all been dramatically degraded, or if not even toppled, like Assad and his military capabilities destroyed. Iran itself had its own sophisticated Russian-made air defense systems, the S-300. A number of those batteries were destroyed in previous salvos or blows between Israel and Iran back in April and October of last year. So there was a unique window of opportunity from an operational perspective, but also from a diplomatic and political perspective. The change in the administration in the United States with Donald Trump's election late last year, in his taking up the Oval in January, allowed for closer coordination on this threat. There was, I think, a similar way of viewing the severity of Iran in its pursuit of a nuclear weapon. Not exactly the same as Israel. Donald Trump definitely preferred to try to reach a deal, and he made that quite clear. But after 5 rounds of talks that all failed, and Iran rejecting every proposal that was put forward by Steve Witkoff, the president's special envoy, I think that Israel, it does seem, was able to get the president, if not on board to give a green light, but at least on board to not give Israel a red light and say, I do not want you at all attacked.
The US overnight saying that they were not involved in these strikes. They were aware of them, but not involved. What about those inside Israel saying, actually, this is more to do with Netanyahu and an internal political agenda?
We're always going to have political conversations, even at times like this. But I think that it's nonsense at the moment. This is a challenge and a threat that, like we said before, Lewis, has been on the table for 20 years. It's something that all Israeli prime ministers, chiefs of staff, head of the Mossad, head of the Air Force have dealt with and prepared the plans and trained for a long time. This was a unique window of opportunity that existed and wasn't going to be unlimited. It would close. Iran would rebuild its own air defenses. Iran would rebuild and rearm its proxies. Israel had to take advantage of this window, and it was now. And Israel did. And I think that the politics are not part of this conversation.
What about the international response so far? We've heard calls for diplomacy, de-escalation, calm from various European capitals. And yet the sense we get from Israel is that more bombing is going to take place.
Well, I think the ball is in Iran's court at the moment. Iran has always had the choice to decide, does it want to operate and manage and run its country for the welfare and benefit of its own people, or does it want to pursue a nuclear weapon that it says it will use to annihilate another country? That has always been Iran's dilemma, and Iran has clearly made a decision on that matter. So I think Israel is doing what any country would do, which is act in self-defense. After coming under such horrific attacks from the proxies that were built up over years by Iran itself. Let's not forget, Lewis, last year, Iran fired hundreds of ballistic and cruise missiles at Israel, into Israel, penetrating and striking in Israel. So this is something that has long been needed to stop Iran from continuing on this path.
Iran's saying today that this attack by Israel is a declaration of war. Is it?
Well, this is a war. The war was declared on October 7th. When Iran and its proxy Hamas invaded Israel. And then on October 8th, when Iran's proxy Hezbollah tried to cross into Israel and began to fire thousands of missiles into Israel from the north. So this war has been going on since October 7th. Israel never wanted this war, never asked for it, but this is another chapter in that same war. And like I said before, I think that if Iran were to announce, we're done, we're not attacking Israel anymore, we're stopping our nuclear program, we're going to sit down with the Americans, and we're going to negotiate a deal that will prevent us from getting nuclear weapons, there will be no more need for any attacks. But unfortunately, I don't think that's what we're going to hear from the Iranian leadership when they finally speak.
Yakov Katz, thank you very much for coming on the program. Thank you.
Thank you.